The power of absence. Why being scarce makes you valuable. Have you noticed the pattern? The more relentlessly you chase people, or the more readily available you make yourself, the faster they seem to vanish. Yet the very moment you consciously disappear, they suddenly start to notice you. You text first, you show up fast, you remain instantly reachable. And somehow that's precisely when they start to forget you. The reason is brutal, simple, and rooted in psychological law. Power never chases what's always waiting. Niccolo Machiavelli observed, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Here is the inevitable consequence of constant availability. The world goes into an internal crisis, and suddenly you become the essential center of it. You've felt that slow, debilitating erosion, haven't you? You cancel your own plans for them. You drop everything the instant they call. Every text you rush to send, every minute you spend anxiously waiting for a reply, is a subtle act that leaks power and self-respect. And what is the return on that massive investment? Silence, indifference, the crippling certainty that you'll always be there. This isn't about the sentiment of love or the virtue of loyalty. It is purely about energy and value perception. Every time you respond within seconds, you believe you're demonstrating deep care. You are not. You are actually broadcasting something else entirely. I was waiting for you. My life can wait for yours. Notice what happens in your body when someone takes agonizing hours to respond while your reply was instantaneous. That hollow ache, that quiet internal rage, that sinking feeling of being less than. That is your intuition screaming the truth your mind desperately doesn't want to accept. People do not respect what they can always have. They only respect what they might genuinely lose. The first time you accommodate someone, they are grateful. The 10th time, they expect it. The 100th time, you become furniture in their life. Present, but fundamentally unnoticed. Available, but profoundly unappreciated. Machiavelli understood something modern culture desperately attempts to deny. The vulgar crowd always is taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar. Power never originates from constant giving, it originates from strategic withholding, from knowing precisely when to appear and, more crucially, when to vanish, from making your presence something earned, not something eternally expected. When you are omnipresent, you become tragically predictable, and predictability is the death knell of fascination and genuine psychological value. Ask yourself the most uncomfortable question. What would happen if you stopped replying right away? Who would panic first? Your mystique, that compelling quality that made people wonder about you, think about you, and actively seek you out, dissolves completely every time you prove that you have nothing more urgent or compelling to do than wait for their command. The question is not whether you should care about people. The question is, should you care about yourself? The economics of scarcity, from commodity to prize. Machiavelli stated, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. For everyone can see and few can feel. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few really know what you are." You've noticed this pattern in others. The friend who is always genuinely busy, everyone wants their time. The mentor who is hard to reach, their advice becomes gold. The person who doesn't respond immediately, their messages carry undeniable weight. Why? Because scarcity creates value. Not artificial value, but real psychological value that governs human desire. Every intentional silence you keep collects power. When you are omnipresent, you become a commodity, something readily available and easily replaced. When you are strategically scarce, you become a prize, something desirable, worthy of pursuit, and worthy of preservation. Machiavelli offered another hard truth. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, If we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. People often mistake this principle for being cold. It's not. It's about being profoundly realistic and respectful of your own worth. The person who is always available isn't seen as deeply loving. They are seen as desperate, as someone with nothing better to do, as someone who will always be there regardless of treatment. So why bother appreciating them now? You have felt this in your body. The sinking feeling when your text sits unread for hours, despite your seconds-long reply. That hollow ache when you cleared your entire schedule for someone who then casually forgot your plans. That quiet rage when you realize you're the only one expending energy. This all relates to loss aversion, a principle hardwired into the human brain. People fear losing something twice as much as they enjoy gaining it. The less they hear from you, the louder and more powerful your absence becomes. Lao Tzu once said, "Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power." You believe you're being kind by always being there. But kindness without stringent boundaries is self-destruction. Look at your relationships. The people you are most available to. Do they respect you the most? Or do they treat you like a convenience store open 24/7, always stocked, always ready to serve their immediate needs? When you make your time scarce, something fundamentally shifts. People adjust their schedules. They plan ahead. They think twice before making shallow requests. This is the simple, honest truth. Your power isn't in your presence. It's in your proven ability to withdraw it. The mentor who's always free is never truly revered. The romantic partner who's always accessible is rarely truly desired. The friend who always says yes is not valued. They are used. You have tragically transformed yourself from a person with inherent worth into a mere resource for others' convenience. The worst part is that you did this to yourself by wrongly believing that love meant unlimited access, that friendship meant boundless availability, and that caring meant erasing your own essential boundaries. It absolutely does not. Controlled distance is not cruelty. It is self-preservation wrapped in dignity. The tyranny of immediacy and strategic timing. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince ought to have no other aim or thought, nor select anything else for his study than war and its rules and discipline. You are exhausted not from working too hard, but from responding too fast. Every notification is a demand, every message an expectation, every call an interruption to the life you're no longer living because you're too busy being instantly available to everyone else. Who controls your time? If the answer isn't emphatically you, then who exactly are you? The person who responds immediately signals something psychologically dangerous. I have nothing more important than waiting for you. My priorities bend to yours. This might feel generous, but to the observer, it is instantly read as weakness. Psychological reactance. Theory reveals a brutal truth. When people feel their freedom is threatened, they naturally rebel. When you are always available, you are effectively eliminating their fear of losing you. And without that essential fear, without the perception of potential loss, there is no urgency, no respect, and no genuine appreciation for your presence. Machiavelli put it this way: "It is necessary for a prince to learn how not to be good, and to use this knowledge or not to use it according to necessity." You need to learn how not to respond, how not to accommodate, how not to be there, not because you are selfish, but because your time and energy are finite. Every yes to someone else's immediate demand is an inevitable no to your own vital priorities. Every immediate response is a vote against your own progress. The true rhythm of power is never about speed. It's always about precise timing, the intentional pause before you respond, the genuine consideration before you commit. When you deliberately delay your response, several critical things happen. The sender waits, and waiting actively focuses attention, increasing the value of your eventual reply. Your reply gains weight. Because it wasn't reflexive, it signals genuine thought and consideration. You signal autonomy. You are declaring that your established priorities, not their sudden demands, come first. This is not about playing manipulative games. This is about reclaiming the authorship of your own life. Those who constantly express frantic urgency reveal their underlying dependence. Those who exhibit calm patience reveal their inherent power. When you are deeply anchored in your own priorities, other people's emergencies don't shake you. Their demands don't move you. Their external expectations don't define you. You control the tempo, or the tempo violently controls you. The rarity of mystery, guarding your depth. Machiavelli wrote, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." You've told them everything. Your past struggles, your current fears, your future plans, your doubts. And now, tragically, they are bored with you. Here is what you haven't realized. In an age where everyone compulsively broadcasts their entire existence online, mystery has become the rarest currency, and the rare is always instantly valuable. Machiavelli advised, "There is no other way of guarding oneself from flatterers except letting men understand that to tell you the truth does not offend you." You don't owe anyone your entire unedited story, not your complete reasoning, not your full processes, and especially not your deepest vulnerabilities. The ancient wisdom is simple. Speak less than you know, show less than you feel, reveal even less than you are. This is never about dishonesty, it is about strategic discretion. It is the profound understanding that authority and fascination thrive on the perception of depth. When people can fully read you, fully predict you, and fully categorize you, you instantly become ordinary. And ordinary people, in the psychological marketplace, are not remembered. Lao Tzu said, "Silence is a source of great strength." Your intentional silence becomes a canvas onto which others project their hopes, fears, and fascinations. They wonder what you are thinking. They imagine depths they haven't seen. Meanwhile, the person who explains everything, who shares every passing thought, who desperately needs to be understood, they become exhausting, predictable, and ultimately disposable. Mystery is not confusion, it is advanced strategy. When people cannot fully figure you out, they remain actively engaged. The human mind abhors uncertainty. It will work tirelessly to solve you, and while they are working to solve you, you occupy a space in their thoughts that the constant overshare never reaches. You think you're building connections through total disclosure. You are often building contempt. Psychological studies confirm that more information about others leads to less liking. Distance preserves idealization. Excessive disclosure destroys it. The mask of mystery is not about deception. It is about unshakable boundaries. It is the strategic distinction between what is public and what is sacred, between the acceptable social persona and the private self. In competitive environments, and all environments involving resources and attention are competitive, strategic opacity protects you. When others don't know your full capabilities, your true resources, or your next strategic move, they cannot effectively exploit that knowledge. They cannot predict you. They cannot prepare for you. You remain formless, unpredictable, and powerful. Guard your mystery like you guard your most essential resources, because it is your psychological lifeblood. The curse of proximity. Why familiarity breeds contempt. Machiavelli wrote, "This is to be asserted in general of men, that they are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous." When did you become too familiar? You've been too close for too long, and now they see your flaws more clearly and more frequently than they see your intrinsic value. Have you noticed how the more time you spend with someone, the more critical they become? This is the curse of constant proximity. The more they know you, the less they appreciate you. They notice your threats more than your blessings, your flaws more than your virtues, your disappointments more than your delights. Machiavelli understood, "He who believes that new benefits will cause great persons to forget old injuries is deceived." You've given and given and given, and they only distinctly remember the one time you couldn't, or the one thing you did wrong. This is human nature in its ugliest form. Denying it will not protect you. Understanding it will be your armor. Why does proximity breed resentment instead of appreciation? Because closeness doesn't create bonds. It exposes incompatibilities and inconsistencies that strategic distance would have elegantly hidden. When you are constantly present, people have unlimited, unfiltered opportunities to observe your bad days, your inconsistencies, and your moments of weakness. Access destroys the idealized, valuable version of you. The negativity bias ensures this tragic dynamic. Our evolutionary wiring makes us more intensely attuned to negative information than positive. It is why one single criticism wounds more deeply than 10 compliments can ever heal. It is why one disappointment can violently overshadow months of relentless reliability. And you have given them front row seats to every disappointment. Familiarity breeds comfort, and comfort in the world of human desire kills all spark. Aristotle once said, "Whosoever is delighted in solitude is either a wild beast or a god." You need to become less available, not to punish people, but to preserve your own psychological health and their long-term respect for you. Keep your presence rare enough to be consistently missed, not consistently taken for granted. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be scarce enough that your minor imperfections don't define your entire worth. The transformation is painful. The always available mentor becomes that person with no life. The accommodating friend becomes the one who has nothing better to do. The ever-present partner becomes furniture. This feels deeply unjust, but justice and human nature are rarely aligned. You must sometimes disappoint immediate desires to maintain long-term respect. You must sometimes say no to preserve the value of your essential yes. You must sometimes be absent so your presence, when it is granted, retains its full weight. Tactical withdrawal, the science of absence. Machiavelli said, "It is the nature of men to be bound by the benefits they confer as much as by those they receive." Here is something they will never tell you about human desire. The moment you stop chasing, you become the chase. This is the central paradox. The less you pursue, the more you are aggressively pursued. The less you desperately need, the more you are intensely needed. Why? Because pursuit flips the script on perceived value. When you chase someone, you unconsciously broadcast, "You have something I lack." And humans are biologically wired to move away from neediness and toward self-sufficiency. Machiavelli advised, "The lion cannot defend himself against snares, and the fox cannot defend himself against wolves. Therefore, it is necessary to be a fox to discover the snares, and a lion to terrify the wolves." When you intentionally create strategic space, you get to see who people truly are without your influence distorting the results. The friend who only calls when they need something? Distance immediately reveals it. The partner who only values you when you're serving them? Space aggressively exposes it. Distance is diagnostic. It filters the genuine signal from the perpetual noise. But here's the twist most people miss. Distance doesn't only reveal who others are, it reveals who you are. When you are alone, without anyone to perform for, without anyone to please, what remains? That is your core essence, the self that existed before you learned to contort yourself for external approval. Now, Here is where it gets highly technical. Strategic distance creates a neurological hunger. When you vanish, here is the sequence of events in their brain. Hours 1 to 12. Confusion. Where are they? Is my text broken? Hours 12, no 24. Anxiety and fear. Did I do something wrong? Why aren't they responding? Hours 24 to 48. Obsession and dopamine deficit. Their brain literally experiences a lack of the reward chemical previously supplied by your instant availability. You have become their drug, and now you are withholding the supply. 48 plus hours, the Zeigarnik effect kicks in. This effect states that we remember incomplete tasks and unresolved stories better than completed ones. When you withdraw mid-conversation or mid-momentum, you've opened a completion loop in their brain that will not close until they hear from you again. Until that loop closes, you occupy their mental bandwidth, rent-free. Sun Tzu wrote, "All men can see these tactics whereby I conquer, but what none can see is the strategy out of which victory is evolved." The strategy they can't see is this. Most people withdraw when they are angry, hurt, or resentful. That's reactive withdrawal. It reeks of emotion and weakness. Strategic withdrawal happens at the peak of positive momentum. After a great conversation, disappear. After they are laughing and engaged, go silent. This is counterintuitive, but it's when your absence has the maximum psychological impact. They are primed for more connection, and you have strategically denied it. The tiered access framework. Curating your presence. Most people get the duration of withdrawal catastrophically wrong. They either disappear forever, becoming irrelevant, or they return too soon, losing all power. Here is a starting point for duration calibration, the formula of noticed versus forgiven. Casual acquaintances, 3 to 5 days. Friends, 2 to 4 days. Romantic interests, early stage, 1 to 3 days. Professional contacts non-urgent, 5 to 7 days. You must never explain why you withdrew. The moment you justify your absence, you have handed back all the power. When they ask, "Where were you?" the only acceptable answers are, "I was handling some things," or "I wasn't available." No apologies, no justifications, no elaborate explanations. Simple truths that respect yourself more than you fear their judgment. The final essential framework is tiering your availability. Your time and attention should work like a business model. Not everyone deserves the same level of you. By giving everyone equal instant access, you are actually giving everyone nothing of real, lasting value. Implement a tiered access system, VIP access, immediate response, spouse, primary partner, critical family members, high-stakes professional contacts, premium access, eventual response, close friends, regular colleagues, serious romantic interests, basic access, delayed response, acquaintances, casual friends, low-priority inquiries. This is not cruelty, it is curation. It is understanding that your energy is limited and your life is finite, and treating both with the reverence they deserve. When you implement tiered access, people self-sort. The ones who respect your boundaries stay. The ones who resent them leave. This is the feature, not the bug. You want the people who resent your boundaries to leave, because they are the very people who would have violated them constantly. Distance also forces people to bring their best self when they finally gain access to you. When someone knows your time is precious, they curate what they bring. They organize their thoughts. They respect the moment. Your scarcity elevates their behavior. You are not obligated to participate in the modern tyranny of immediacy. The most powerful word in any language is no. The second most powerful is not now. This shift from reactive availability to intentional presence is the difference between living your life and being lived by everyone else's chaotic agenda. Distance isn't about pushing people away. It's about pulling yourself back, back to center, back to self, back to the person you were before you learned that love meant erasure.